Aaron, how do you market yourself more effectively?
Look, that's an awesome question, and that's where we are right now. So let's break it down. It comes into two categories. First of all, there is marketing and prospecting, and I think people get those two things intertwined and confused.
So what's the difference? I do, yep.
Okay, so let's look at prospecting. Prospecting is, I've been out to your house, you'll say you're selling in a month. So prospecting is the physical, I'm face-to-face with you, or I'm following you up or speaking to you on an individual basis. Where the marketing is completely different. Marketing is to many. So marketing could be a bulk SMS to 2,000 people. It could be a bulk letter saying spring has arrived, it's a great selling time, or happy Christmas, or whatever it is. So the marketing is the generic front-end marketing campaign, the letters, the mass distribution, which then filters. There might be 2,000 people in there and 50 might be interested, then that marketing brings those 50 people to you. Now you've got those 50 leads or those 50 warm prospects, now you physically do the prospecting with those people.
Aaron, if you had 100 people that you were going to contact for the first time, have you got any stats on how many times you have to contact them and what is the response rate as you actually work through those number of contacts?
I love it. 0 to 9, people don't know you exist. You're not imprinted in their brain yet. 9 to 15, they remember who you are. 18 to 24, you become a household name. So my business dramatically shifted and almost doubled within a 12-month period when my database matured from 0 to 9, then 9 to 15. As soon as we hit about that 15, 16 mark, all of a sudden, as Tom Panos says, I become the attraction agent. I didn't know the numbers until I went and had a look in my own database. No one ever told me, do 18 points of contact and people are going to remember you. The reason why senior agents are more successful than junior agents is not because they're better skilled, it's just that they've had time to develop those touch points. Now, if you can find a way to accelerate those touch points and get to 18 really fast, well, you're going to have that same relationship, that same trust point with those people as this more senior agent, because that's what he's been or she's been able to do.
So what are the numbers? What are the touch points, Aaron?
Throughout my marketing campaign, within a 12-month period, I deliver 18 to 24 touch points. Let that be via letter, email, or SMS. Okay. Then on the flip side, with the prospecting, the target and the goal is to make 30 prospecting calls a day, Monday to Friday. It's always a give to get strategy.
What does that mean?
Give to get is doing different to other agents in regards to a lot of, like myself, I get phone calls every day from telemarketers trying to sell me a phone system. And I'm sure everybody's had that phone call and nobody's excited about that call because we don't know who they are. We've got no interest in their product and all of a sudden they're trying to drag us up onto their level and sell us something. As people and consumers, we don't like that. But as real estate agents, that's exactly what we do every day. And it's a wonder that we're not ranked too highly in how much people like real estate agent stakes. So for me, I always start with, okay, I want to add value to this person. I want to add value to this transaction and I want to be the person, even if they're not selling today, I want them to know that, hey, when they do want to sell, I've got some information that's been able to help them.
This is the difference, isn't it, between push and pull marketing? Push marketing, as we now know, is dead.
Yes.
Pull marketing, this is what give to get is?
Absolutely. So you have something of value that you can give them. It could be a free report or a free offer or an update or something that they actually want to receive from you. So then they're more likely, as you said, pull, they come to you.
There's a great book by Seth Godin called Purple Cow, which is how to stand out. What is your purple cow?
The philosophy in my office is when they zig, you zag. So if everybody's doing pre-listing kits, do something different. If someone's doing free appraisals, do something different. For me, one of the things in my marketplace that I use is a book called How to Sell Your Home for More. And the promise is in the title.
That's the book written by Ray Wood, I think.
That's the book written by Ray Wood. So every person that is going on the market, I've never met anybody that said, hey, can you help me sell for less? Everybody wants to know how to get a great result. And I use that as part of my prospecting plan. So instead of going free appraisal or just sold, I say, hey, we've just sold this property. The owner just got a great result. And here's one of the tools that helped them. This is the book that helped them, give them the information, the education on how to present their property.
Aaron, do you give a copy of that book out?
Look, I do, but the way I give it out is in my marketing, instead of doing free appraisals, I offer, saying if anybody wants a copy of this book, get in contact with me. So then it's that pull strategy that you talked about. Obviously, we swap their first name, their last name, their contact details. You don't talk about real estate. You just say, here's the book that you requested. If you have any information, let me know. I put my details in the front cover. And then it's always the throwaway line right at the end. As you're walking away, you say, oh, P.S., I know it's a long shot, but did you have any intentions of selling over the next 3 to 6 months? and just shut up and see what they say. But you've given them something which they appreciate. You've had a quick chat about how the market's going, buyer market, seller market, recent sales, letting them know what's going on in the marketplace, and then it's right as you're walking away, just hey, look, I know it's a long shot, and it's always a long shot, but just wanted to see what your plans were for the next 3 to 6 months. And then you're not just launching straight in for it. It's it's warmed up. You get to know them a little bit more.
Hello and welcome to this week's auction update. I'm coming to you from Christchurch in New Zealand, where yesterday we saw the RISE conference. Geoff White will join me in just a moment. It looks as if the auction market might be clicking in after we've had a few holidays. We'll be back in just a moment.
Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
Joining me once again, Geoff White, in different parts of the world. I'm in New Zealand in Christchurch, Geoff, and you're in Melbourne. The RISE conference yesterday was absolutely spectacular.
Was it? That's good, Kevin. Yeah, good to speak again, and a lovely backdrop you've got there. Yes, yeah. I've heard the conference has been terrific, so I'm sorry I couldn't make it there, but I'm glad you're there.
We missed you, Geoff. Everyone's been saying, where's Geoff? Where's Geoff?
Yeah.
As you can see, the weather today has continued to be brilliant in Christchurch. So it was a wonderful gathering, Geoff. I haven't got the final figures yet, but I think the fundraising exercise has picked up well over $120,000 that's going to all of the victims of that tragedy in Christchurch. It was only a matter of, 50 odd days ago. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I think that the great thing about it too, Geoff, is that all of the speakers and everyone who attended here have given their time freely. They've paid all their own costs, so all the money was able to go to the victims and their families. So I think it's just been sensational. Yeah, it's been great to be a part of it. Okay, mate, let's have a look at the auction, the final auction results for last weekend. Gee, a good result out of Brisbane, 43%.
Yes, I thought you'd pick on that one. It was a good result for Brisbane, and they've done exceptionally well when you compare their highest, which for the year, which was 2 weeks ago at 39%. So it's up to 43.4 in Brisbane, which is the highest it's had this year. So, albeit the auction numbers were down, but they're down across the board really. So, but that's still a good indicator. 43.4 from 98. Melbourne topped the table this week. In terms of clearance rates, 53.6 from 498 auctions. Again, light on in numbers in auctions, but a good clearance rate, steady there. And Sydney still holding in that low to mid 50s as well at 52.4 from 332. And Adelaide took a bit of a dip to 40.4 from 54 auctions. So we'll keep a watching eye on that one there too as well, Kevin.
Yeah, what was the weighted average at the end?
Yeah, weighted was 50.4, Kevin. So we did sneak above the 50%, and the total number of auctions was just over 1,026. So we've still got a 5 in front of it, which is still a promising sign for buyers and sellers. Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. We'll have a look at the auction numbers coming up in this next week in just a moment. They have lifted a little bit as you'd expect, but let's firstly have a look at the Sydney sub-regions. The standouts for you there, mate. What have we got? Inner Southwest around 66.7%.
Yeah. Look, there's a few there in the 50 plus. I'm looking at still light on in some of the sub-regions, where we haven't got clearance rates recorded. But if you look at the inner Southwest, you're right, 66.7, 37 auctions, and I think the city and inner South at 59 with 46 auctions was one to keep an eye on. And we've been saying that, if you look at North Sydney, Hornsby, which has been a solid performer at 51.2, which is just under the Sydney clearance rate, but that's a good yardstick as to how the Sydney market's performing. So again, 51.2 is better than under 50, and they had 57 auctions. Parramatta, of course, had a 6 in front of it as well at 61.1 from 20 auctions. So there's some pretty good results across there. very broad section of the market too. So yeah.
Yeah, in Melbourne, we'll have a look at the Melbourne results. Even across those regions, the number of auctions were fairly evenly spread, I noticed this week too.
Yeah.
And so too, you've got to say, is the auction result.
Yeah, that's right. If you look at the percentages, sure, we've got some in the 40s there, but we've got quite a few in the 50s. And if you look at the auction numbers, it's really interesting. The West had the highest number of auctions. Usually that's the inner or inner south or something like that. So it was a different market. It was coming out of the holidays, as you said. So that's why we saw the differences. But yeah, 59.1 in the West from 80 auctions and 60 in the outer East from 49. And of course, the inner south very, very strong at 69.8 from 50 auctions. So as you say, a very, very strong, even market there.
Yeah, indeed. We'll have a look at the auctions in this coming week. Sydney, Melbourne, of course, topping the field, but still 600, 500 odd out of Sydney, Geoff?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Numbers are certainly down. They're very comparable. We've got 1,384 auctions this week, and if you look at the first week of May in 2012, so going back then, we had 1,361, so very similar. And auction numbers are very similar to what we had in 2012. So Sydney with 503, Melbourne 632, Brisbane, still down a bit at 85, Adelaide 57, Perth 50, Canberra 53. So you can see while Sydney and Melbourne have still got reasonable numbers, they're down on what they have been. But that's just a sign of the times and sign of the market there, Kevin, I think. Yeah,
I noticed in your report too, you highlighted Reservoir as the top suburb for a number of auctions. Is that unusual, or is that like, because I think Reservoir normally comes in fairly high, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Reservoir is an area that there's always been quite a lot of auctions, and it's either, if it's not the top, it's in the top three often. So that one is there. Coburg and Epping with 12 scheduled auctions. They're a bit out of the ordinary. We don't see as many usually there. Interesting to note.
Is that affordability driven, do you think, Geoff? Has that been affordability, do you think?
Yeah, a little bit, I think so. And it's interesting to note they're all in the northern suburbs too. So, affordability somewhat, but I think it's just one of those things. I think you'll find the Bayside areas are probably where most auctions usually are, and we're just not seeing that at the moment. And I think people are perhaps playing a bit of a watching game at the moment as to whether they'll list by auction or not, and hence the numbers are down. Yeah.
I raised that question because at the conference, Rise conference yesterday, one of the speakers was from Jealous Craig in Melbourne. And he was saying that he believes that they work at the top end of the market and measure, top end sales. He was saying he believes it's down by around 10 to 15%. He didn't have any stats to back that up, and purely anecdotal. Would you agree with that?
You're talking in terms of values, Kevin, or auction numbers?
Yes, in terms of values. Sorry.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's fair. The inner east of Melbourne, from its peak, is down about 15%, and of course, Jealous Craig operate very much in that inner east area as well as many others. But that's that would be about right. And some areas have probably taken a bit more. But some have taken less. But that would be about right. And the statistics that we released only yesterday showed that Melbourne's down about 10% across the board. So, 10 to 15% probably right. So he's on the money there.
Well, we'll hope the market continues to improve. Did you want to get your crystal ball out about what you think we'll be recording at the end of the weekend?
I think much the same, Kevin. I don't see why the weighted average should be much different to what we've got. It may actually creep up a bit. I think there's certainly some people wondering about what's going to happen in terms of the political scene and starting to think, well, gee, what happens if one party gets in or the other? And I don't know whether that will impact buyers' decisions, but I'm sure, and my advice to buyers is if it's the right property at the right money, just buy it. In the long term, it won't go wrong. I
think that's great comment too. Very good advice. We've got an interview tomorrow in the real estate talk show with Rich Harvey, and he's the well-known buyer's agent. He's saying that would be one of the biggest mistakes to make, is that you think you should wait until after the election because there are so many tremendous buying opportunities available now, simply because in some places the market is a little bit spooked from what you
That's
said.
right. That's exactly right. Yep. I don't think you should buy according to economic or any other political reasons. You buy because what suits you. And if it suits you and the house suits you and the money's right, just go ahead and do it. It's not as if you're going to roll over and sell it in 12 months' time. They're long-term investments, and you won't go wrong. So buyers should be out there sticking their hands up this weekend, definitely.
Well, our house, we had our first open house on Wednesday night. We had, 3 groups through, which is pretty good for a Wednesday night. The sign only went up 24 hours earlier than that. So, we've got a marketing campaign, I think, that clicks into place from this weekend. So we'll just see how it goes. Geoff, we've got no contracts yet.
No, that's fair enough. And look, I think as a vendor, you use this time to understand what the buyers are saying about the property, and the agent will no doubt be getting all of that information to feed back to you, so that it puts you in a position of strength of knowing, what to do and when, and that's really what you're waiting for. So as the weeks roll on, you'll get more and more information to help you make that decision. So that's a good start anyway. Yeah,
it's a great start, Geoff. We've got a few more, two open homes tomorrow, so we'll see how that progresses. But mate, listen, you have a great weekend. Thanks for your reporting, Geoff. Geoff White, of course, from CoreLogic. And, mate, I'll look forward to catching up with you on Monday.
Yes, see you then, and all the best and safe travels. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, I'm Kevin Turner, coming to you from Christchurch, where we've been attending the RISE conference for 2019, and an announcement made on the stage too. I might just mention that RISE will be running in 2020 as well. They'll do another conference next year. So Chris Hanley, who is the driving force behind this, has indicated that's going to be the case. And RISE, of course, is a coming together of agencies or professional real estate people in Australia and New Zealand. So we'll certainly be there to support it as well. We've got a live stream that we ran yesterday, and we're going to make all of that content available as well. Jeffrey, a late farewell again. But thanks, mate. I look forward to talking to you next week. Just wanted to get that little mention in about RISE. Okay.
Well done.
Buddy.
Cheers, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Kevin Turner, and I'll see you next time.
Evening, Clara. Home, please.
David, what's on your mind?
I was just thinking of a different time is all.
It was a time when I used to sit up there,
Driving wasn't just about being taken from place to place and going somewhere. Feeling something along the way.
Please, David, you should relax.
I'm afraid that's just the problem.
David, where are you going? David?